have Brad Meltzer joining us today.
Right.
Hey, Brad. Welcome.
Good to be back, Brother Pat.
You are incredibly prolific, and you have written yet another book. This one sounds really, not like your others don't, but this sounds really cool. The Nazi Conspiracy, the Secret Plot to Kill Roosevelt, Stalin, and Churchill. Welcome, and tell us about this. How'd you I've never heard of this conspiracy. How did you find out about it?
Yeah, no, this is a true story. Really happened. I don't think the internet is good for many things these days, Pat, but it is good for obscure historical details. Mm-hmm. And I found this, this mention of a secret plot to kill Churchill, Stalin, and FDR at the height of World War II. It was a half-page, maybe page-long article. It had barely any details. And I said, is this true? Did it happen? And it all really happened. And I just, we just went down the rabbit hole and basically a book came out. It was magic like that.
Wow, cool. And what will be new for armchair historians? What don't they know that you found out?
Yeah, and let's just paint the picture. It's 1943. It's the moment where the Nazis have invaded the Soviet Union. Stalin's getting decimated. He wants our help. He's like, come invade. He basically wants the Battle of Normandy, the invasion of Normandy to happen so he can have that, and pinch those Nazis and make sure that, get them out of the Soviet Union attacks. So FDR, Stalin, and Churchill need to meet together for the very first time to figure out this plan and to plan Normandy. And so they meet in Tehran, Iran, of all places.
Huh.
And FDR comes to town. His motorcade is coming down the center of the city. Everyone's craning their neck trying to see the president. The president's waving back. What none of them know, Pat, is that that's not FDR in the motorcade. It's actually a Secret Service decoy. The real FDR is across town, ducked down and hiding in the back of a beat-up sedan because they're worried as they go through the side streets that there's a Nazi assassin who will kill him. And I just ruined chapter 1 of the Nazi conspiracy.
That's really amazing. I don't think I want the gig as decoy. Right. That doesn't sound like a desirable position.
Yeah, someone asked me if I would be the decoy, and I was like, have you seen me? Have you seen my build? Like, I am not built for such things.
Yeah. So how did we find out about it to put this decoy into the car?
Yeah, so what happened is when the White House head of the Secret Service, a guy named Mike Riley, and Mike Riley was promoted the day after Pearl Harbor to guard FDR. He used to carry FDR in his arms like a baby. Like he was the only one of the few guys strong enough to actually carry him. And he's the one who spoke to, at that point, the Soviet intelligence, who had a report about a group of 6 paratroopers that were still on the loose who were in Tehran. And the stories to me, listen, we all know FDR. We all know Stalin. We've heard the name Winston Churchill, of course. But the best part of this story are the people you don't know. There's a guy named Otto Skorzeny. He's a Nazi. And Otto Skorzeny gets paged to go to Hitler's headquarters, his secret headquarters called the Wolf's Lair. And Hitler's bringing in all of his best special operations fighters, and Otto Skorzeny is a special ops guy. He wants to find the toughest one for a secret mission. And he lines them all up shoulder to shoulder in the big room, and he asks them and quizzes them with one question. He says, what do you think of Italy? And all of them start spouting, kind of like, oh, we love Italy. They're on our side. We're going to fight with them to the death. All sound macho and great. And this one Nazi, Otto Skorzeny, shouts above everybody else and says, and he says, I am from Austria, my Fuhrer. Because he knows that Adolf Hitler is from Austria, and a true Austrian actually resents Italy because in World War I, Italy took a key piece of Austria and never gave it back. And at that moment, Adolf Hitler turns to Otto Skorzeny and he's like, you're my guy. And he sends him on this secret mission. I won't ruin the part of the book, but it's so crazy what this guy Otto Skorzeny does that it earns him the nickname, the most dangerous man in Europe. We actually had to put, Josh mentioned, my co-writer, put an actual photograph of this moment in the book because we were like, if we don't show a photo, people will not believe it really happened. And it's the wildest Nazi story you've never heard.
Wow. I can't wait to dig into this. Yeah. So, was he the assassin then?
I'm doing it.
I mean,
you'll see. There's a couple. There's a couple guys. Obviously, the whole thing is is you don't know what, you never know who the assassin's really going to be because the plot gets thwarted. That doesn't ruin anything. Although I'll tell you, my son just finished a book. My 21-year-old son read the book. He loved the book. And he says, I have one problem, Dad. I said, what? He says, I kind of wanted everyone at the end to die. And I was like, come on, you want me to kill Winston Churchill and FDR? I'm like, it's not. I can't Tarantino this, He wanted more blood, and I was like, but this is a history book. It reads like a thriller, but it's a true story. I can't change the end.
Can I just throw this out there, Brad? Because as a homeschooling parent, my 17-year-old son, he loves World War II history. He loves little-known history. And your book came out just at the perfect time with this semester starting. So that is a homeschool curriculum for my son to read this book. So thank you for it. It's perfect.
Tell him to turn down his bloodlust for the end, and he'll be very happy.
I don't know if I can help with that.
So you mentioned that they were meeting in Tehran, Iran. Is that where things were supposed to happen? Is that where this was supposed to go down?
Yeah, that's where it was all going to go down. What happened was they wanted, this is the very first meeting where Stalin and Churchill and FDR get together. And they went to Stalin and they said, let's pick an equidistant place. We'll measure out on the globe and find, a place equal for all of us. We'll meet you in Alaska. Stalin's like, no, not a chance. And the reason he wants Iran is because the British and the Soviets have an embassy there, so they have good security there. And he also believes that the desert location is going to be a great way for them to kind of keep secrets. And also, that's where we're sending all our weapons through we use an Iranian railroad, a Turanian railroad there. And so we have actually people there as well. And, of all the places it can be, what's crazy about it is there's another Nazi guy whose name is Franz Mayer. He's on the ground in Tehran. He's a Nazi spy who's basically hiding in Tehran. Basically, the Nazis think he's useless. They thought he got captured. They thought he was lost, but he's on the ground. And then he gets word out that, listen, I'm alive. I got a paratrooper place. You can send in supplies. I have a ground. I've been building a network of Nazis that are sympathetic to our cause. And he says, I'm here. Here's a secret code you can put on the radio so I can know you got my message. And at that moment, the Nazis realize that they have the best thing that anyone gets in a fight, which is an opportunity. And now the big three are coming to Tehran, and they've got a guy on the ground. And you'll see how the wildest part is that this guy, Franz Mayer, is sleeping with a local woman who's from a wealthy family. He's in love. He's not just there because he loves the Nazi cause. He's in love. What he doesn't know is this woman is sleeping with another guy who happens to be an American GI. So he's whispering in bed secrets to her. She's whispering secrets to us.
All right.
I literally could not make this up. I couldn't make this stuff up. It's so crazy.
I have a question here, because when you find a story that sparks your interest enough to write a book around it, how do you go about researching this stuff? And have you ever started writing a book and be like, man, there's not enough here to make a story? What's that process like for you, man?
No, that's exactly. Listen, when we did the secret plot to kill George Washington, we went to the National Archives, we went to the Historical Society, we did the secret plot to kill Abraham Lincoln, not the John Wilkes Booth plot, but the original plot to kill him.
That's
Again, National Archives has stuff, This book, we had to go and, we're trying to read Secrets of Nazis and Soviets. We had to get people and researchers who speak German and Russian.
Wow.
And it was much trickier. The thing that's amazing is the Nazis used to keep their best intelligence, their top secret intelligence, was on something called the brown sheets. Literally named that way because they were printed on dark brown paper. And the brown sheets were, kept in a very, careful zip compartment. You had to destroy what you read after you read it within 30 days, no matter what. And the head of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, used to keep these very extensive diaries. And he was really, an incredible intelligence fiasco was he used to write down what he read in the brown sheets in his diaries. And so we got to read the diaries. And when you read the diaries, that's how we figured out that, we all know the story of the Enigma machine and how we cracked the Nazi codes. What I didn't realize is they had cracked our codes. They had cracked the international cables that Churchill and FDR were sending to each other. And you read that stuff and you realize how I know we all think that World War II went our way. That wasn't a foregone conclusion. The alliance between FDR and Stalin and Churchill was completely precarious. And you see how close it is in this moment, especially when you read the book, how quickly it could have gone the other way.
We're speaking to Brad Meltzer about his new book, The Nazi Conspiracy. During the research of this book, what surprised you the most? Were there any big things that you weren't aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I think what surprised me the most is, and this is the heart of the book, it's titillating to say, oh, we found, we got the secret plot. We're going to write about the secret plot to kill the big three. But what's the book really about? And studying history, you don't study history just because it's, dates and facts are cool. You study history because it informs something about today. And to me, when I saw in Charlottesville, there were Nazis marching those few years back. And I'm not talking about throwing the word Nazi around. I'm talking about true Nazis that were there marching. And you think, we all wring our hands and we're like, how could this happen in America in 2023? And the amazing part is, what shocked me, Pat, is we found that in World War II, there was a Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden. In the heart of New York City, 20,000 Nazis got together to cheer, and with big giant banners of George Washington surrounded by swastikas. The first speaker that rally said, if George Washington were alive today, he'd be friends with Adolf Hitler.
Oh my gosh!
And you got to remember that.
Jeez. What
shocked me is that World War II wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And Frank and Barbara Walters are born in the same year. And to me, what I think the American dream is about, it's not about making money. It's about when you see someone being picked on, when you see someone being bullied, you use your voice and you say enough. All those German bureaucrats that went along with Hitler, it wasn't just Hitler, all of them sat in meetings and made plans and figured out how to murder Jews efficiently, and none of them did anything. And we as Americans have to, when we see that happening, whatever the minority group is, you got to say enough. Use your voice.
It's interesting, too, because the world has changed so much since World War II. Alliances and, we just don't think and feel the same way we did back in the 40s. And it's interesting that we were allied with such a bad guy in Joe Stalin, and yet it kind of worked out. Right?
No, but listen, you're exactly right. I mean, people forget that the Soviets were on the side of the Nazis at the beginning of the war.
Right.
The only reason they switched to our side is because
Hitler
invaded.
Them.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he's going to invade us. I'm going to be on I'm going to the good guy's side. He's not a good guy. Like
no.
They call him the man of steel for a reason. But the thing that World War II does for us is World War II is one of the few times, maybe the only time in modern times, where the American government, everyone can say, whatever your politics are, can say, the government went in, we did the right thing, we saved the day, and we're all on the same side.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing do we all agree on today. So World War II isn't just a moment that happened. It's an ideal that's part of the American psyche. It's proof of us that we can stand up to evil and do the right thing. And that's why we study it. That's why when you read the Nazi conspiracy, you're going to see these parts, and you're going to realize even more how wonderful and amazing America is, especially when you see what FDR is dealing with at that moment in time.
So how do I get the book?
You can go to Amazon, your local bookstore. You can download the ebook or the audiobook.
Oh, I'd love to have it in like 10 seconds. I love that. Just download the ebook. I'm going to do that today. Brad, thanks again.